So I will, hello guys, welcome to this SCORA webinar. As you know, a few days ago it was International Day for the Elimination of Violence Against Women, and we wanted to have something special besides our usual campaigns. So we decided to have like this formative webinar, and we invited Alia from Harassmap to explain to us how they work in their organization. And they are mostly focused on basically focused on sexual harassment in Egypt, and I think that they set up a big example for other countries to take action and work on a community-based level. So I will be sharing some slides that she created, so she can present to you the work that she's doing. And Sara, our regional assistant for the MR, she will also first tell us a bit how she got in touch with Harassmap. And Sara, can you just point out how you started your collaboration when you were an Nora in IFMC Egypt?
Hi guys, I'm Sarah Said from Regional Assistant for the EMR, and I was the ex-Nora for IFMC Egypt. And last year we worked with Harassmap mainly in training new captains in the universities. The captains are the ones who are responsible to start the initiative University Free from Harassment. We started in some universities, Cairo University and Ain Shams University, but we didn't follow the other universities because it takes a lot of work. Harassmap are working in Egypt. They lobbied a new law against harassment, and they worked in environment free from harassment. Like they go to the shops and the streets and ask people to defend girls against harassment and to take actions against harassment. So I got the training from Harassmap, and it was an amazing experience for me as a girl and for me as a national officer. And so I have to leave the floor for Aya.
Okay, thank you, Sarah, and thank you, Carls. As I said before, I'm Alia Sulaiman. I am the communications manager at Harassmap, and I'm happy that I'm with you today to introduce our work and to talk more about what we do in order to end the social acceptability of sexual harassment in Egypt. Mainly, Harassmap is an Egyptian volunteer-based initiative that was founded in late 2010 and is working to end the social acceptability of sexual harassment in Egypt. When we first started in 2010, sexual harassment was very different than what it is right now. It was very much of a taboo, and a lot of people were very much afraid to talk about it in public, and the people were not that much open about it in media and social media and so on. And we want to end the social acceptability, because when people see harassment happening on the streets, which happens most of the time in the morning or in the night or any time, it has nothing to do with what the girl is wearing and so on. So we want to end how it's being a norm right now in the streets in Egypt and so on. So our mission, following on what I was saying, is to engage all the Egyptian society to create an environment that does not tolerate sexual harassment. If we can have the next slide, please, for the mission and the vision, that'd be great. That does not tolerate sexual harassment, because we work to achieve this mission by convincing the bystanders, who are the people on the street, the normal people on the street, and also institutions, to stand up to sexual harassment before or after they see the incident happening. This way, we feel that we're taking a collective stance against sexual harassment, and we feel that we as a society can create social and legal consequences that discourage this behavior and can seriously reduce it. Also, part of our vision on the long term, or mainly in the near future, if it can be possible, to build a society that guarantees the safety of everyone, of people from sexual and gender-based violence. So mainly what we do is that we work to achieve this mission by training the volunteers. As Sarah was saying, she was part of it, and a lot of people were part of it, to go on the streets all over Egypt, or convince the bystanders or people on the street to take a positive action against sexual harassment. And we also sometimes, in many other programs that I will discuss later on in the presentation, to try to lobby for anti-sexual harassment policies in universities and in businesses and so on. How we see change happening is basically that we want to end the social acceptability and create an environment where sexual harassment is not okay. So accordingly, harassers can no longer harass with impunity. They would know that there will be social consequences and legal consequences for their behavior. And accordingly, the rate of sexual harassment will decrease, which is why all of our work is about ending the social acceptability of sexual harassment, because harassers keep harassing people and they know that they would get away with it. So this is not what we want, because if they know that what they are doing is going to be penalized through the law or through the social consequences even of the people on the street, or someone would like intervene or shout at them, or the girl would say that this is not okay and go to the police station to report what is happening, all this will decrease the rate of sexual harassment, because it's increasing because of how people are being passive about it. 5 years later, we used to depend, when we first started, on the reporting system, which is our map, and I'll talk about it later on when I discuss like the parts of our work. But mainly we had like the map that would allow people to go on our website and report a sexual harassment incident that happened, and they would get like text message or an SMS saying that we can offer through another NGO called Nazra psychological counseling and also like legal assistance. When we first started, we got a lot of reports in 2010 because people were feeling that this is a platform for them to anonymously report sexual harassment, because it is a taboo, as I said. Now we have a lot less reports, and this is can be interpreted as a good thing, because people are now happy to talk about it in the open and to discuss it openly in the media and social media. For a long time, we've been asking why, and we're kind of studying right now how this is becoming less of what we do. We began focusing on our other programs, not so much on the mapping and the reporting. And the discussion moved more to the media and the social media, as I was saying. It's mainly a very small part of our work, the reporting and the mapping, which is a good thing, because it's now that people are happy to talk about it, not happy, but like they can openly talk about it in the media and the social media without feeling that this is a taboo. They wouldn't feel like this is something that happens to them. They need to report this anonymously without saying who they are and so on. We know now that social media is a very powerful support in our work, and like most of our campaigns have become well known, and a lot of people have watched it, and it's well known on social media and on offline. Some of the offline campaigns are well circulated around in Cairo and outside Cairo as well. So the first part of our work, or one of the programs, if we can have the next slide, please. Is the community mobilization. This is our first program, and it's basically that all our volunteers all over Egypt receive a training, and then they go into their neighborhoods to respond to the excuses that people make for harassers, and support in enforcing zero tolerance for sexual harassment in their areas. These volunteers use the evidence that we get from the reports and also our communications campaigns. What we mean by making excuses for harassers is usually, it happens most of the time, is that when a girl gets sexually harassed, from our work and from what we do on the streets, we sometimes notice that always people get to blame the girl and the victim or anyone who was sexually harassed, instead of blaming the person who was committing this crime. And they keep blaming her sometimes for what she's wearing, if she's wearing something that's according to them conservative enough, and according to our research and according to our work on the street, what a girl is wearing has nothing to do with whether she gets sexually harassed or not. What's wrong is the behavior of the harasser, not what the girl is wearing. So that's what we're trying to show the people, is that, for example, a person who's veiled or is wearing a niqab or a burqa can also get sexually harassed. A girl who's walking on the street at 9 a.m. on her way to work and get sexually harassed. It has nothing to do with how she's walking. It has nothing to do with all the excuses that people give to the harassers in order for them to continue. And most of our campaigns, like, we try to work on how the excuses make it easier when they're based on facts that are not true at all. They're not even facts. And I'll talk later on about our media campaigns. If we can have the next slide, please. Yeah, the Safe Schools and Universities is one of our very important programs, which is mainly focusing on ensuring that schools and universities are places where sexual harassment is not tolerated, and where cases of sexual harassment are, if they happen, appropriately dealt with. So what we try to do is that we try to provide an anti-sexual harassment policy template for these schools and universities for them to adopt. And the biggest public university in Egypt, which is Cairo University, adopted a policy in the fall semester in 2014. And we try to ask more universities, or to reach to more universities and schools to adopt the same policy, or to have a policy within the school to know how to deal with sexual harassment if it happens on their campuses, because this is very important for people who go to school to feel that they are safe within this campus, or to feel that they are safe and that their universities and that their schools are on their side. Another part of our work is called the Safe Corpus and Safe Areas. These are two separate programs. The Safe Corporates is a project that partners with medium to large size businesses that works to transform the workplaces in Egypt into zero tolerance to sexual harassment safe areas. The idea behind this is that we want to set a role model for other companies or small businesses and large businesses too, to transform their workplaces into sexual harassment-free places. So the main idea is that we want anyone who's working in a company to know that there is also a certain policy or template that they can follow if sexual harassment happens in this place, which is also going to create a safe area, and that one company can follow the lead. We recently had a partnership with Uber, which is a technology company, and it has been so far that we trained the full-time staff who train the drivers, and accordingly we try to follow up with them every once in a while and make sure that they are implementing the policy that we help them implement. And we hope that other companies will follow, because this is very important. It's kind of basic for any company to have a anti-sexual harassment policy, and this is what we're lobbying for with the Safe Corporates. Another program we have is Safe Areas program, which is working to create safer streets and neighborhoods by recruiting the partners from among the small businesses, cafes, restaurants, kiosks, and taxis drivers at times, to adopt also a zero-tolerance policy against sexual harassment. We believe that by working with people who are in a fixed location and that are already interacting in the street in their everyday life, we hope that they can make the durable changes in the streets and the neighborhoods. About the reporting system, which I kind of already mentioned a little bit, was first launched in 2010 when we first started, and it was the idea of how anyone who was sexually assaulted to go on the map and report anonymously their experience that they were part of. And the map would, or the reports would appear as a red dot, and each of this report would receive a response with information on how to access free legal services and also psychological counseling. We use these reports, very, very important to us while talking to people on the street, to be used as evidence and to dispel the myth about the sexual harassment, and as I talked about before, like the excuses that people give the harassers when harassment happens. So our volunteers will go on the street, whether in like safe schools and universities or on the community mobilization, and just talking to people in their neighborhoods. And they would show them the reports we had on the map. They would tell them, for example, that this is an example of sexual harassment that happened in this area, for example. It's very also good when you're talking to people who don't believe that sexual harassment happens in these areas and who are in denial, because it's something that we are just show them, and it shows how sexual harassment really is happening in these areas a lot. The media campaigns, very quickly, is that they're basically just like offline and online too. Sometimes they are online on YouTube and so on. There's also on TV and radio. The aim of the media campaigns is to change the perceptions that place blame on the harassed, as I was saying, that someone can say, for example, the girl is to be blamed for wearing something that's not conservative enough, or for walking on the street at this time of the day, for example, and so. So we try to mobilize people to take a positive action against sexual harassment. And one of our big campaigns was called متحرش مجرم, which is can be translated in English into harasser equals criminal, and it had a very important objective or aim, which is to introduce to people or make them aware that sexual harassment, according to Egyptian law, is a crime. And a lot of people were not really aware of this, or if they knew, they wouldn't know that it's basically even like the verbal sexual harassment, because a lot of people sometimes think that when we say sexual harassment, it's just the physical ones or the physical type. It's also verbal sexual harassment, online type of sexual harassment, or the phone calls. All of this is constitutes as sexual harassment, and according to the law, it is a crime. We had another campaign which was earlier than this, which was mainly tackling how the excuses, as I was saying, for example, if people say that it's because of, like, sexual harassment happens because of the sexual frustration of some of the youth, for example, it would be like, why would an 8-year-old sexually harass if it's related to sexual frustration? Or if it's, for example, sexual harassment happens because of poverty, then why would a CEO of a company sexually harass a girl? So it was playing on how all the excuses that people give, and it was sort of a reply breaking the myth about sexual harassment. And that's it. I'm kind of like talked very generally about what we do, and I'm happy to answer any of the questions if you guys have any questions, or you want me to further elaborate on anything, or any of the things that I mentioned. Thank you, guys.
Okay. Okay, so thank you, Alia, for sharing everything with us. The reason why we decided to have Harassmap like telling us like their job and how they work on sexual harassment in their countries, because we believe that it can be useful for us in each one of our countries to like start something up out of this example, even though it may obviously be in a like much smaller scale. And I would like to open the floor for questions. You can find like a button around your screen, all the people that are watching, that's called like Q&A, questions and answers, and there you can submit your questions, and we will like you just need to say your name, the country you're coming from, and also to who you're directing the question, in this case, like obviously to Alia. So if you have any questions, like feel free to start sending them now. We have like 15 minutes or so for questions. Let's see. And obviously, I wanted to like thank you, Alia, for joining us today. I think it's...
No, thank you. I'm happy to be a part of this webinar and to talk to you guys about our work, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you have for me today.
So, do you have any question in particular, Sarah, for example?
Sorry. I want to ask about um the I know it's not in Egypt only, but I know what other countries are that have Harassmap in their as an NGO there as well as Egypt.
Mhm. Okay. So,
I'm, I'm
someone,
sorry, the line was breaking a little bit. I didn't hear most of what you were saying. Sorry, can you please repeat?
I know that Harassmap is working in other countries, so I want to know what other countries are there and what are the methodologies that you are working there in harassment.
Well, when we first started in 2010, we started coaching a lot of other initiatives or another NGOs that were interested in doing the same. We do have a lot of people that either tried to do the same and succeeded, or some of them would like try to do this and for some reason they wouldn't like go on. Some of them are in the Middle East, like in Lebanon or in Jordan. Some are in Palestine. In India, they do have like Harassmap India, and for Palestine, it's called Ramallah Watch, if I'm not mistaken. I think there's like more than 10 sort of other harass maps in other countries, not only in the Middle East but all over the world. They are not in some. We do coach them, and then they are separately like on their own with their work. We are available for consultation or for helping out in any way possible, but they are not like other branches, for example, of Harassmap. They're just like on their own. We just coach them and tell them how we started, what systems do we use, like especially for their like reporting system and so on. We tell them about the technical stuff, how to get started and so on. So it's mainly just that we coach them, and the more the merrier. I think for many countries to follow what Harassmap did, or to even add something else and let us know how this worked out for them. So it's for sure a good thing to have a lot of similar initiatives or NGOs that work on the same problem in different countries, different continents, and so on.
okay. So, thank you for your answer. We got some questions uh, from Beatriz from Spain.
Mhm.
So those are like quite a lot of questions, but I will start with the first one. How do you reach the companies for the project of Safe Corporates, and do you have travel accessing them?
I'm sorry, do you have what accessing them?
Travel
Trouble. Oh,
accessing.
okay. Well, I mean, it's not the easiest thing in the world to like approach a company, but like for Uber, we it took some time for us to launch this partnership, and it depends on what kind of company that we're looking for. Yeah, you know, we try to like have a diverse kind of examples for like companies. As I said, there can be big companies or they can be like a small kind of business. Sometimes they would have like concerns or they wouldn't want to join because it would like look that they do have sexual harassment incident, and wouldn't it's not like that. I mean, it's better for them, and it's actually good for them and for any company to be out in the media as a company who took the initiative and started their own on working on sexual harassment or an anti-sexual harassment policy. um, Sometimes it's just like related to the bylaws or like the bureaucratic kind of challenges, rather than yani some people are like convinced about like safe corporates and they do want to join, but like due to bureaucracy on their end, it would be like harder. But it is a good thing, and it's good propaganda for this company to be like a role model for other companies to join. And if you've seen like the amount of praise that Uber got, for example, on social media, a lot of people were hailing this and were saying that how much this is a good step and that other companies should follow. We are trying to reach other companies, and wish us luck.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
So, the next question is also from Bea. Um, so how do the victims report it, and through applications, websites, or and do you collect also how did the victims feel?
Uh, I'm sorry, it's about the reporting and the mapping, like how do we collect the reports?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, we do have like a software or an application called Ushahidi, which is the idea of like crowdsourcing or like getting reports from the internet. We do have on the website, if I wish I had like an opportunity to show you guys on the website how you can report. It's basically that you go on the website and you say whether you're a witness or a person who was sexually harassed, and then you say whether you're a female or a male, and what kind of sexual harassment were you exposed to, whether it's verbal, physical, if it's like staring, if it's like someone who was stalking or following you, and you say what area you were in, and then you submit. It has like 1 or 2, 3 steps. Very simply, you can just like go on the website, click on the map, and fill in all this. It's available in English and in Arabic, and it's very easy to do. It's actually good for us to know, like in our research especially, like we like to know what kind of reports or what kind of sexual harassment incidents happen. Like for example, in 2014, we did have research called Towards a Safer City. Of women and Greater Cairo were exposed to sexual harassment. And for example, this helped us a lot, like the reporting and also like the physical surveys that we did, and to know what kind of harassment were they exposed to. Like, it's always good to compare from the reporting that we get. What kind of sexual harassment are these people exposed to, or anyone who was exposed to sexual harassment would say what kind of sexual harassment it is, and that's the whole purpose of reporting. It also will send you an SMS with the number hotline for Nazra, and also for like either psychological counseling and legal counseling, and if you want to take this further, for example.
So the next question is related to like studying it somewhere like in other countries, and it's basically how did you start the program? How did you like start something so like ambitious and that ended up being so big and important?
Well, the idea of how it started is because, like, the one of the founders, which is Rebecca Chow, she was walking on the street in a very normal day in a very crowded area, and she was sexually harassed. And I think one of her friends told her that, like, the kinds of excuses that people keep saying, it's because you're a foreigner, it's because of what you're wearing, and so on. So she met with a couple of her Egyptian friends, and they were exposed to the same problem. She talked to other people, and they were exposed to the same problem. They were all dressed differently. They were all coming from different backgrounds, different areas, and they knew that a lot of women and people were exposed to the same problem, and they decided to start with the mapping and with the program of like community mobilization. And then later on, when we realized that not so many people are reporting or using the mapping system, we thought that it's very important to focus on the safe schools and universities, for example, or to have something like the safe areas program. And the safe corporates is also very, very recent. The safe schools is since 2014, I think. So it's kind of started getting bigger, and we started like realizing that mapping can lead to other things. We started having like the research department, so there are units that have different duties or responsibilities, but they all help us expand and help us realize that the problem needs to be tackled from different units or different angles.
Okay, so I have two more questions. The first one is about the reporting and mapping system. How did you manage to get to girls, like to get girls and women to use it, and how did you make the system known to all of them?
Well, encouraging the women or anyone who was sexually harassed is just that it's a platform for women to express, or for anyone who was sexually harassed to express how they they felt, because it definitely helps to just like let it out, especially when we started in 2010. As I was saying, it was kind of a taboo. You can't just go to anyone, just like share a story of sexual harassment that happened to you. So that it was just a platform for people to report sexual harassment, and it became well known for people who would just go on the website. It was known through Twitter and Facebook, and kind of a lot of people started sharing, obviously, and it was well known. For example, if you know a friend who reported or someone who works